Hello, everybody. Welcome to this YBI presentation on virtual accounting, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the cloud. That's just a nice little callback to Dr. Strangelove, that movie. Just thought that kind of fit in with this because a lot of people are, even in 2020, still worried about the cloud, and especially with their financial information, putting it up there. And, you know, it, a lot of people these days, I mean, technology is just so embedded in everything that we do. And a lot of the news does talk about a lot of the risks and bad things that can happen with it, but there's so much good to it as well. And I know one of my clients, one of his biggest concerns about moving all of his accounting into the cloud was hackers and the data not being with him. And I had countered to him the fact that it's fine. You can have your accounting software and all of your information stored locally, and you can run backups and things like that. But if you were to have a fire or some other type of catastrophe where the hard drive fails and you don't have some type of offsite backup, then you're really in a world of hurt. So, the cloud does have some risk, but the software packages we're going to talk about today have just multiple redundancies that allow for you to trust in it and to use it to your advantage, because there's a lot of cool features and good things that these software packages offer small business owners. So we're going to talk about a few different areas in accounting cloud software. Your typical software packages, so QuickBooks Online, I'm a big proponent of that one. I'm a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. I have a lot of experience using that. And then another one called Wave Accounting, which I used a few years ago and actually just got signed up with it again to play around with it a little bit. And have they made some major improvements? It's a great piece of software. And the best part about it is it's totally free. You get a lot of the features that QuickBooks Online has in some of their more advanced packages for free. Now, both of these are cloud-based, so you can access them from your computer, your phone. They have apps, and also anywhere. So obviously with COVID-19 and almost everybody having to work remotely, if you had your accounting using QuickBooks Desktop or maybe Sage Peachtree, and it was stored locally, you either would have to come up with some type of remote desktop platform to be able to access it, or still go into the office and pull it up. But with these, you're able to access them anywhere, anytime, using pretty much anything, which is awesome. You also don't have to worry about all of the just things that go in with running your own server. So we'll talk about those in a little bit more in detail. Then some other apps that actually work with QuickBooks Online specifically. One of the drawbacks with Wave is it doesn't have a ton of integrations like QuickBooks Online does. But anyways, so for time tracking, there's a software called TSHEETS. We used it here at the YBI. We just started using it back in October, and it just gives you an insane amount of tracking of people's time. And we use it in a rather unique way that I'll talk about when we get to that point. But they also have a time clock kiosk that can use a computer or a tablet, where your employees are able to sign in with a password or even with facial recognition, which is pretty cool. And there's some scheduling features and a lot of reporting on the back end that you can get out of that as well. And then the third area of software we'll talk about is involving an electronic accounts receivable and accounts payable, Bill.com, which we use here at the YBI. And I'm really excited to talk about this one because I think out of all of this software, this one has made the transition from being in the office and being able to really have an accounting system in place. It was just nothing to go home and be able to do this. So I'm really excited to talk about Bill.com. I'll actually show you a few of the cool features that really set it apart and make it a worthwhile investment. So, we already talked a little bit about these two pieces of software. They both more or less allow you to track income and expenses in varying degrees. Now, with QuickBooks Online, they have 4 different levels. They have Startup, Essentials, Advanced, and I can't think of the other one right off the top of my head, but they all have different features that you're able to use. And one of the things that I think Wave Accounting beats QuickBooks Online is with the fact that you just get everything right off the bat. You don't have to upgrade or scale up your subscription. It's just all there in Wave. But some nice features that, again, talking about being able to work remotely at the drop of a hat. One of the things that both software packages have is the ability for you to connect your bank account and credit card accounts to the software. Basically, how that works is you sign in with your username and password, and you're able to sync. It'll do it automatically, just at different periods, or you can do it manually. So it'll pull in all of the information that you have from your bank account or your credit card, and then you are able to go in there and assign the transactions to a specific vendor and expense account, and just make sure the amount is correct, so that pretty much a lot of the work is already done for you. And speaking specifically about QuickBooks Online, it has an AI feature where you can set up some rules, and it will get smarter the more you use it, and it will automatically start entering transactions based off of the what it's seeing in your bank feed and on your credit card statement. So pretty cool stuff. Anything that can save time and eliminate data entry is a good thing, and that's really the direction a lot of these platforms are going, and the accounting field in general. There's a lot of data that can be automated, and when we get to Bill.com, you're going to see that in action, live and in person. So that's pretty cool. Both pieces of software give you the ability to look at your standard accounting reports, so your balance sheet, your profit and loss, statement of cash flows. There's a lot of other custom reporting you can do in there as well. And I highly recommend, if you don't have an accounting software, I would at least the bare minimum get into Wave, because of the fact that it's free. QuickBooks does give you a lot more flexibility with integrating apps, and unfortunately, you're going to need QuickBooks to really use TSHEETS and Bill.com to their fullest potential. But they're both great pieces of software. So at a bare minimum, it's a no-brainer to use Wave if you're just not at the point that you're ready to pay for accounting software. And then one of the other nice features about both of them, and this with Wave, there is a fee, and there's also a fee with QuickBooks Online, but you're able to integrate credit card processing and payroll into the software. So there are fees attached to that on top of, with QuickBooks, a subscription fee, and with Wave, you're not paying one, but this is where you would end up paying some money. But it's going to allow you to run your payroll through there and have a pretty slick and convenient option for your customers to pay. And I actually do this with my QuickBooks Online account. I'm able to send the invoice directly to the customer, and they can pull it up right then and there. They're actually, if I were to make a change to the invoice, it'll show up to them, and they're able to pay it with a credit card or a bank transfer. And that accounting is all handled for me. So I don't need to go into QuickBooks and say, hey, I just looked at my bank, this customer paid me. It's doing all of this automatically, which is awesome. And again, it's a huge time saver, especially for small business owners who now more than ever are juggling more areas of their business just to try to get through this whole pandemic. So these things will help you a lot. And, obviously we'll be sending out some information after this, ways to get in touch with me if you're looking to get onto these. With QuickBooks Online, I am able to offer some discounts through their wholesale billing and the fact that I'm a pro advisor. So if you are interested in QuickBooks, you'll be able to reach out and we can try to get something started for you. The one catch is you do have to, it would be a new subscription. So if you already have a subscription to QuickBooks Online, then unfortunately, there's not much we can do there. But and Wave, you're able to sign up for that yourself. And that, to get to Wave, it's just waveapps.com. So let's talk about TSHEETS a little bit. So again, it's time tracking software, but there's just an immense amount of features to it. You are able to access it from your browser and mobile app, and the mobile app's pretty cool. It'll notify you, like if you were to forget to clock out, and both of them, they give you a clock in and clock out feature, but there's some other ways of keeping track of time as well. It does have some accounting and payroll processors that it syncs with. And, you know, with the YBI, the big reason we started using TSHEETS is just we have different programs and grants, and we needed to be able to track people's time by those so that you're able to allocate your payroll expenses to those programs and grants. You know, that might be a little bit more than most small businesses need to do, but it is a nice feature to have, especially if you are doing like job costing where you're billing employee time to customers or specific projects. It's awesome to use TSHEETS for that. So basically how it works, it is the modern day time clock. You have the option to force your employees to use a time clock, or if you want to give them some leeway, they can enter their time manually as they go or at the end of the day. So, you know, some people just kind of like scribbling down their hours of what they're working on the project and doing it all at the end of the day, or you can kind of do it as you go. The time clock feature is pretty nice though, because you're able to just bounce back and forth between, you know, whether you're keeping track by project or customer, however you're keeping track, it allows you one-click transition between those items so that it's really simple to use. I know personally, like I'll just keep it open on one of my screens, like half of one of my screens, and I'm able to just bounce back and forth with the different things I'm working on so that I'm getting, it's honestly second by second accuracy with customers. Now, obviously you may not need that level of detail, and that's where you're able to do the manual entry so that, you know, you can just kind of go, well, I spent about an hour and a half working on this project, so let me put it in that way. And then the other thing you're able to do is that I kind of mentioned it earlier is the time clock kiosk, and that's actually the iPad you see in the bottom left corner. So you're able to have your employee sign in with facial recognition if you were to want, and then they're able to select the job they're working on if that applies to your business, and then even having the ability to take breaks. So pretty cool stuff there. You know, you're able to set up custom alerts and notifications for managers and the employee. So if they forgot to clock out, it'll notify the manager and the employee so that they can address that as soon as possible. And then it also gives you the ability to, you know, you're able to create managers who then can approve employee time as you see fit prior to payroll. So TSHEETS is now owned by Intuit, so it obviously works pretty well with QuickBooks, and the best way to leverage this system is to have your payroll through QuickBooks because it's a seamless interaction. You approve the payroll and it's going to be ready for you. You approve the time in TSHEETS and it's going to be ready for your payroll in QuickBooks. So it's a pretty cool system. And even if you don't use QuickBooks payroll, it still can be used. It's just making your time clock electronic. So no need to have cards laying around or anything like that. It'll all be stored in the cloud for you, and you're able to run different reports and things like that, which we'll talk about. Now, one of the cool and, you know, maybe, I don't want to say alarming, but just in this day and age, a lot of people are concerned with them being tracked with GPS, but this software does give you the opportunity and option to use that if it makes sense in your business. So you can track your employee's mobile device while they're clocked in. So that's one thing. They're only able to be tracked while they're clocked in. But if you have a business where your employees are mostly stationary, you can actually create a geofence around your office building or wherever the employee is going so that they're not able to sort of cheat the system or game the system and clock in earlier or, you know, prior to actually getting to the facility. So that's a nice feature too. But again, you know, this is only in use while the employee is using the app. So it's not like they're going to be clocked out and the boss is going to be able to see where the employee is at or what they're doing or anything like that. And again, it's optional. So this isn't even something you absolutely need to have. But I think if you have some type of delivery business or like a service, like maybe a plumber or an electrician, this could be really beneficial to you, just to kind of keep tabs and make sure people aren't, you know, abusing their time and holding your employees accountable. Another pretty cool feature in TSHEETS is the scheduling. So you're able to create different types of schedules, whether it be by job or project, shift, or task. And you know, you see that notification there on that iPhone on the bottom left, where the employee is going to be notified with the app that they have a new shift. So that's a pretty nice thing, especially if you're kind of making last minute changes to shifts. The employee is going to have that right on their phone. And on the right side of the computer, you can kind of see there, it's a little bit of, it's kind of hard to see, but it's just how the scheduling works. And the employees and you will be able to sync this with your favorite calendar app. So that's pretty nice as well. Now there's a lot of nice reporting and a lot of raw reporting that you can get out of TSHEETS. So they have the cleaned up reports or payroll and project reports. And within these, you're able to look at your company as a whole, filtered down by specific departments within your company, or even down to specific employees to see how much they worked, what they were working on, you know, whether it be different projects or customers or whatever the detail is you're tracking. You're able to customize this by employee, department, company as a whole, and then also by date. And you know, anything else you have in there as a custom class. So, you know, if there's some weird thing you need to track, whether it's for a grant or a certain customer, they want you keeping track of it with time, you're able to add those custom levels of tracking in here and then spit that data out on these reports as well. They have a lot of CSV exports that you're able to get to get some raw data that, you know, if you're handy with Excel, you're able to clean those up and make them look pretty nice as well. But you know, for what you mostly need, you're able to get it in a nice cleaned up report and get you the information presented in an easily readable way for you. As far as pricing goes, so it is a little bit pricey, but you know, if this is something that is going to save you aggravation and time, it's money well spent. So the lower level, which is premium, it's $20 a month. That's a flat fee. And then for each person using the program, it's $8 a month. So, I mean, it can be a little bit of money, but it may make sense for you. The next level up is TSHEETS Elite. So that's $40 a month, and that's $10 per user. And that gets you that GPS tracking and a few other features. Now, I'm able to get a 10% discount off of these. So if that's something that interests you, feel free to reach out to me. Now let's talk about Bill.com. So this is cloud-based accounts receivable and accounts payable software for you. We're going to talk about the accounting software that it integrates with, the benefits of using it, how it works, and the two big things here, in my opinion, are the ability to drastically reduce data entry and in some cases totally eliminate it. And then the other thing is to minimize fraud risk. So we'll get into those in a little bit. And finally, we'll talk about the pricing on this, which we can get some pretty attractive pricing for you on this as well if you're interested. So it integrates with a lot of the big names. Unfortunately, it does not work with Wave. If you were to want to use Wave and Bill.com, there are some ways around it, but it's still going to involve some duplication data entry. But you know, with Bill.com, a lot of that is minimized, so it may end up being sort of single entry with a little bit of oversight as you're using Bill.com. But that's where, you know, maybe having a QuickBooks subscription is going to make sense for you. But so it'll work with QuickBooks Online and desktop. Sage, which is the company that makes Peachtree accounting software, and then Xero and Oracle NetSuite, which is one of the bigger, probably a little bit larger companies use that one. There's also a special integration with QuickBooks Online that the pricing is actually on a per transaction basis. And when we get to pricing, you'll see what that is, but it's actually works directly within QuickBooks Online. So if you're familiar with that, you're able to create bills and create payments, but you're also, with this integration, able to pay the people directly, whether it's with a paper check or an electronic payment directly from within QuickBooks, and it requires no work from you. So that's just native to QuickBooks Online, not desktop or any of these other packages. And I do have a client that uses that, and it's actually it's awesome. I love doing that, and you lose out on some of the cool features I'm going to show you with Bill.com, but it is a nice feature to have, and it's kind of one of those things that you would think QuickBooks would kind of jump at and just do themselves and try to get some of that business, but for whatever reason they haven't yet. So the big benefit here is drastically reducing data entry. On the right side, it gives you an idea of what Bill.com looks like, and it gives you a customer center and a vendor center where you're able to just see what is due. That's what the numbers are there in that white column, and then you're able to click on them and see specific invoices and things. The other nice thing about this is it's browser based and mobile based, so I would recommend the majority of the work taking place in a browser, just because you're going to see why with the data entry and what's involved in being able to sort of review the invoice as a whole. The mobile app works nicely for when you have somebody that you want to make approvals for, and we're going to talk a lot about that too, because this is a great way to minimize any type of fraud risk in your company. So again, browser is for most of the work with the data entry, but the mobile app is a nice feature. Even if you need to make a quick payment, you can do it from there pretty easily, but it really comes in handy if somebody needs to review and approve any of the bills. And then the other nice thing about it is you're sort of outsourcing your payment function. So with this software, you really don't need to keep paper checks on hand. And that's been one of the nice things that I've noticed with the software as I had to go and work from home. I would keep all the paper checks here ready to go in a printer that I already have lined up and set with QuickBooks Online to print the checks and make sure everything lines up correctly, because that can be a little bit of a pain. And then sometimes it gets messed up between printers, but I really didn't want to have to bring all the checks home and print them there. And then the other issue is, well, then I need somebody to sign them. And when you're working remotely and you're not really supposed to be going out for unnecessary travel, it's pretty hard to do that. And that's where Bill.com saved us quite a bit. So COVID-19 or not, it's allowing you to get away from having to keep paper checks on hand and actually having somebody sign them. You're able to do all of this online, electronically, and still being able to show within an audit log what took place, who approved it, and again, the check is sent, or you can pay the person electronically. There's a little bit of work on your part to get the vendor to work that out, but it is time well spent, and honestly, the vendors like it too. And I've had quite a few vendors who they see the software where they're forced to sign up for a free account, but it allows them to put in their bank account information. And if they don't want to do any of this, they don't have to. They just get a paper check. But if they want to have direct deposit, they create this account, and it opens their eyes to how great this software is. And a few of them have actually made their own accounts that they pay for so that they can fully leverage the software for their advantage as well. So pretty much what happens is you get your bill, you put it in the system, you fill out all the information, and then you have audit logged approvals, and all of the data is synced automatically with your accounting, if it's supported. And in our case, it's QuickBooks Online. So it is totally eliminating having to enter the information here in Bill.com and then going in QuickBooks and doing the exact same thing. It's just one time. So we've already talked about that a little bit, but pretty much to give you a rundown of how this works. So if you get your bills by mail and there's really no way of getting them electronically, all you have to do is open the bill, scan it in using any scanner, and you're able to upload it directly into Bill.com. One of the nice features is you get a custom Bill.com email address. So in our case, it's YBI Accounting at Bill.com. and you are able to give that to your vendors, and they can just email that directly to that email address, and your bill will be in the software ready to go. I don't really use it that way. What I do is I still get the bills sent to my YBI email address, and then I just forward them into bill.com. And the main reason behind that is so that I'm able to still have that record in my regular email in case I need to forward it to somebody or print it out. It's just a little bit easier to access that way. But if you want to try to minimize clicks, that's a great way to do it. And one of the other ways you can do it is you can actually get a unique fax number from bill.com. And if you have a vendor that likes faxing or is okay with faxing, they can do it that way. And bill.com it'll allow for them to scan it in, and it'll be ready for you in your inbox within bill.com. So the coolest feature of this, which I will actually show you in a few minutes, is their use of artificial intelligence. So pretty much what happens is you go to your inbox, and their software is going to read that scanned document or email document, whatever it is. It's going to automatically select the vendor. It will extract the date of the invoice, the date payment is due, and the amount of the invoice. And it's there. You're able to review it, just kind of go back and forth, make sure everything lines up, and then you can select the appropriate expense account that the bill needs to be tied to. You're able, once you select it once, it's going to sort of default and auto-populate that last used expense account, but you're able to change that as you need. A lot of times you aren't going to need to change that. It's pretty much the same thing, whether it's a utility bill from Ohio Edison, or maybe you bought something at Starbucks that you're giving to a client or something like that, which is obviously it's going to be a gift, or however you categorize that in your system. But so that's a huge way that this is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of effort and minimize clicks, which is always a good thing. Now, one of the things, and unfortunately I can't really replicate this, but here at the YBI, we have 9 different Ohio Edison energy accounts, and they all have different vendor accounts within QuickBooks and bill.com, and it all ties into the account number that Ohio Edison assigns us. And one of the coolest things that I still am shocked that it's able to do this, it has learned through what I'm selecting a couple of the times that I've had to clean up the Ohio Edison account that it ties into. It now knows where to search within the document to extract the specific account number, even to properly assign it to what I need. So that's a really cool feature, and it works seamlessly. So just to give you a rundown of how I use bill.com on a daily basis, and I kind of already alluded to this, but if I get the invoice electronically, I just forward it to that YBI accounting at bill.com account. If it comes through snail mail, I just scan it in and upload it directly like that. But what's so awesome about it is most of the work is already done. That AI is already selecting everything I need. I just review it, click approve, and that information is ready to be synced directly to QuickBooks Online. We have some approval features too, which we'll talk about, this minimizing fraud risk, and this is a huge bonus within this software, because not to get too much into it, but the more segregation of duties you can have in your accounting, the better off your company's going to be, and the more fraud you will minimize. So just to give you a little idea of what it means to have true segregation of duties, there's 4 areas that you want to try to keep separated from people. The first one is the person who has authority to execute transactions. So that may be a specific department head or maybe a specific employee within a department, but they're able to say, hey, this is an okay expense. We're making this purchase. This is fine. You want to have a separate person who keeps track of the records. So this is kind of where bill.com comes in. Maybe you have that employee who says, okay, here's our expense. They forward it to your accounting clerk or accountant, and they're taking care of it in bill.com. You also want to have a separate person who has custody of the assets affected by the transaction. So you know, obviously that's talking about the checking account or the cash or however you're going to be paying this, you want a separate person dealing with it. And the fourth area is with reconciliation of the existing assets to recorded amounts. So four very separate areas, but I think you can probably see why it's important to keep those separate. It's pretty easy for somebody to make up an invoice to whatever company, enter it into your accounting software and say, hey, this needs paid. And a lot of fraud can happen that way. But with Bill.com, you can really minimize that risk. Now, obviously, most startups and not every small business has 4 people in accounting roles to do this. If you have a couple of employees, though, you can probably do something along those lines. And at the end of the day, you have to do the best that you can with this. So one of the ideas, in my opinion, would be you have one person responsible for entering transactions. And then you have a separate person that has the authority to review the transaction and approve the payment of it. And you're able to do this within Bill.com. You can have these custom workflows that allow you to say, all right, Tom, he's able to enter the transaction. I'm going to forward it to Bill, who is going to say, okay, this is a legitimate transaction. I remember approving it, that we were going to spend money on this, who then can send it to a third person who would normally be the check signer, who will then say, okay, we're all right to pay this. And that entire chain of custody of this transaction is logged electronically for you in Bill.com. So it's awesome. And if that's something you worry about with fraud, then this is a great way to minimize it. And the other thing that I really didn't talk about here is the fact that all of your invoices now are stored in the cloud. You don't need to keep file cabinet after file cabinet after file cabinet full of invoices that you may end up using sometime in the future, even though it's highly unlikely. Now it's in the cloud. From the comfort of your desk, you just navigate to it, you download it, and if you need to send it to somebody, you can. But you don't need to do anything more than that. You can also they have a document storage system where, honestly, it's not the greatest. It's a little bit clunky, the operation of it, but if you want to start moving everything online and going paperless, this is a great starting point. So you can scan in contracts, different agreements, leases, anything that you want stored electronically. It could be as a backup to your hard copies, but you're able to use that as well. Again, it's not the greatest piece of software within Bill.com. In my opinion, it's probably the weakest part of it, but it's still usable and it's not awful. And you're getting document management for, in my opinion, it's kind of free because you're really not using Bill.com for that. It's just a nice feature they have in there for you. And if you were interested, I didn't talk a lot about the accounts receivable function in this because I haven't used it very much, just because I've sort of pushed myself and clients into using QuickBooks Online and their merchant processing for payments. But with your Bill.com subscription, you have the ability to create your invoices within Bill.com that you're sending to customers. And again, it's going to sync with your accounting software, QuickBooks Online or whatever you're using. And then the customer is able to pay you electronically, or they can just send their check in as well. So it's another feature. It comes with a subscription. It may not be the best use of Bill.com. Again, I think it's all with bills and accounts payable, but it's another something for you to use as a part of the subscription. So as far as pricing goes with this, your normal pricing to get all of the features that Bill.com offers you, it's $69 a user per month. So that's pretty steep. On top of that, you are then going to pay $1.69 for each paper check you send, or 49 cents for each electronic payment that you send out. So, obviously they're trying to push you away from paper checks and get your vendors to put their information in to receive e-payment. But, it's still not a bad thing. It's saving you time with postage and having envelopes and checks on hand. So I don't think $1.69 is too bad. I think it's money well spent. And then for 50 cents a transaction to do it electronically is a no-brainer as well. Now, I'm a Bill.com expert, so I, just like QuickBooks Online and TSHEETS, I can get somewhat of a discount, and this one's a little bit more advantageous. So instead of paying $69 a user a month, there's just a $50 flat monthly fee, and then for each additional user you want on there is $10. Now, there are a few ways that, you know, if you do want to have 3 or 4 people involved in the approval process, but you don't want 3 or 4 user accounts, maybe like 2 or 3 at the most, there's some ways with email that you can send the bills around and get approval that way. It's not ideal. It's going to require a little bit more work on your part, but it's not too difficult to do. Now, the QuickBooks Online platform integration I had spoken about earlier, the one where it's sort of native within QuickBooks Online, there's no monthly fee, but the per transaction fees are slightly higher. So the e-payments are $1 each, and then to send paper checks, it's $2 each. But that's all you're really looking for, and you're not doing a ton, you don't have a lot of volume of transactions. It's the way to go. And like I said, I've used it, and it's been pretty awesome so far. So I will show you now the Bill.com, the features there I was talking about with the AI, which is pretty cool. Just give me a moment to navigate in there. It signed out while we were talking. So this is the dashboard you sign on to. It gives you a nice overview of different pieces of information, whether it's bills you need to pay or invoices that you've sent out to customers that haven't been paid. And then down here, if you have any bills that need to be approved. But the main portion of the software that I wanted to show off was the inbox and where the data entry or lack thereof takes place. So I created this mock invoice. Pretty generic, it's straight out of QuickBooks, nothing too special here. And you can see up here, it says we started the bill for you. We've pulled some info from the document, review what we enter to make sure it's complete. So all you have to do is hit review and save. And you can see, I haven't done any of this. It's pulled Metz Consulting, it sees that, it sees invoice 202. You can see these small little boxes around there to let you know where it's pulling this info from. It knows that the invoice date is May 15th and that the due date is June 14th. And then it knew to look for the amount of the invoice, and it picked 15,000 up. So then you're able to, from within here, then all you have to do is select the account, the expense account that this ties to. And then if you have an approver, if you have that set up, it's automatically going to know who to pick there as well, because you set the workflows up at custom, and that's it. You hit save and close, and that's it. So a couple clicks and harness the power of AI. I mean, that's the way the world's going for the most part. And, you know, why not use it to your advantage? So again, we'll send out some information after this with my contact information. If you have more questions or need some accounting help in general, or if you would like to try to get some discounts for any of these pieces of software. Thank you for joining us, and hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks.